there we go. And I do believe we're live. So maybe we should probably stop talking about the, you know, the really risque things that we were talking about immediately before the stream.
Yeah, the stuff that gets banned by Twitch terms of service, right? We should
automatic,
stop talking about this stuff.
Yeah, the automatic Twitch ban hammer.
Yeah, we should definitely stop talking about that.
It's kind of funny. I was trying to model my lighting a little bit more towards yours because I know you kind of stay kind of dark, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that for this stream. So I kind of angled my lights differently and used less lights, and then you're still. It looks like you're even darker than you normally are. So now I still look too bright.
We can make it brighter if that makes you feel better. We can make it brighter.
I want you to feel comfortable with whatever setting you want to use, Jay.
The reason why I dim it is because outside it's dark right now. Like it is dark here outside. So yeah, I like to reflect the ambience from outside inside.
Yeah.
Be comfortable and chill and calm and collected in my own clothing. That's the thing. My own skin.
Yeah, here it's quite the opposite. It's very bright. I think today's the warmest day we've had so far this year.
Really?
Pretty big changes. Yeah, we went from like a lot of rain and pretty low temps to like much higher temps considering the area. Like up to like 75, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is obviously not that hot, but I mean,
yeah,
the day after it was like 40 degrees, so pretty big changes.
It's been bright and sunny all week here, but it's been freezing cold. So it's been like 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, which is just above freezing point. So it's not been warm at all, but it's been really bright and sunny. So it's been kind of nice, Nice. Just bitterly cold. It just feels like the middle of winter, and it's, you know, we had snow literally a week ago, and it's April. And,
did you? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've never seen snow in April before.
I mean, not to get too like, you know, eventy on you, but like obviously that could be attributed to climate change as well. A lot of the kind of freak weather that we've been having, you know, is thought to be caused by that. I don't know if you saw, I forgot what it's called. I think it was called A Life on This Planet by David Attenborough. Awesome documentary, super good, and that was one of the things that he talked about was how we're going to start seeing more of these kind of like freak weather patterns. Like, remember how not too long ago in Texas it got like outrageously cold for a while?
Yeah, and like they had snow. Yeah,
it was like totally outrageous from the norm, and everyone was totally unprepared for it, and it was a really unfortunate situation. But I think things like that are going to start to be more and more commonplace unless we like actually take efforts to stabilize the environment, as it were.
I think you're right. I think it's going to happen more and more, and I don't think there's anything we can do quickly to fix the environment either, which is sad.
There's no quick fix. Yeah, it's just everyone needs to start doing the right things, and over time, hopefully things will get better.
100%.
But obviously that's a big topic for for not this show. But hello everyone, welcome to our pre-show. We're not officially live yet. We're gonna wait. We're a little bit late to the pre-show today, so we'll give it a few extra moments before we actually start, so people can congregate.
Hopefully, we won't have too many people watching this week. So when I embarrass myself, I'll.
This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really fun. Yeah, I'll explain more once we officially start, guys. But I think
I was expecting a different name to the stream as well. I don't know what I was expecting, but you played it safe. So
I played it safe because I titled the last week's stream the same thing, but part 1. So I was like, I probably shouldn't change it too much since this is kind of a follow up to that in a sense. So
sure.
I mean, whatever. Titles are titles. Hello to everyone in chat. Thanks for joining us a little bit early. Moon Cookies, Smudge Joshua, Karcha, always a pleasure to have you guys. Elder Rat, what's up, man? One drunk man. He's like the ninth comment. He's usually the first.
Yeah, Chuck Death as well. That's a good username.
Yeah, and Nightbot. Obviously, shout out to Nightbot because he's one of our most popular viewers. Yeah.
I think Nightbot might have been in every single stream I've ever done. every single stream. Nightbot's just there. It's impressive dedication.
It really is. Like he's way better than any other mod because he's just always there for you. And
completely dedicated.
He does whatever you want. How interesting is that? Good stuff. Yo, what's up? Says Jug of W. Not much, man. Not much.
The sky's up. I think the sky's pretty big. That's a lot.
The ceiling is up. Ooh, there's technically a camera right above me too. That's kind of up.
Yeah, I have one just above me too.
Scott Water, hello. Subscribes tier 1 for 11 months. Says howdy, boys. Howdy to you as well. Howdy, 11 partner.
Months. 1 month and he's going to hit that magical Top Clack birthday.
We just stop designating months as things. No more 9-month Top Clack babies.
No, I like it. 9 months is a Top Clack baby. 12 months is a Top Clack birthday. That's just how it is if you're part of the Top Clack family.
All right, fine. I guess I'll make my peace with it.
We've done it for too long now to stop. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's probably true. We have Just Bagel in the house. Well, a great username. I love bagels, even if they're just bagels. Charlie,
what's your favorite bagel? What's your favorite
bagel? I think
my favorite. Oh, go on. You go first. You go first.
I feel like the easy answer is always everything bagels, right? Like everyone loves everything bagels because they're just so delicious.
Maybe. I like the cinnamon raisin bagels. That's my favorite.
Oh, you're
cinnamon
a sweeter bagel kind of guy. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, just toasted on its own with a bit of butter. No toppings, nothing else. Just a cinnamon raisin bagel toasted with butter. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. So my general like bagel setup that I really like is actually I use an everything bagel, toast it, whipped cream cheese. It's got to be whipped. You need a light cream cheese for this, and then a really nice cured ham, like prosciutto or nice. I'm actually a big fan of Serrano ham. Is kind of my favorite there, but like prosciutto, speck, any of those kind of that genre. Or like cold smoked salmon, I think is really good too. I tend to default to like prosciutto and things similar to it because, God, it's just salty, porky deliciousness is sort of what I live for.
You're making me hungry now. And I've just Googled that I can buy a home bagel maker for just 75 British pounds, which is about $105.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, maybe at some point I will invest in a bagel maker.
Jeez. All right. Well, while we're waiting to start the show for a few more moments here, guys, everyone in chat, what's your favorite bagel? What is your bagel setup? Your configuration? What do you guys like? Just Bagel, who's probably has the authoritative opinion on this, says plus on the cinnamon with butter. So there you go. Yeah,
it's a top tier
cinnamon raisin with like a really good butter, a European butter, when possible. I don't like American butter. I think I talked about this recently. But I don't like American butter as much, but like a nice European butter, Irish butter, I think is often really nice.
Ooh,
just a bunch of that. Nice. Like don't be shy about it. You can't be prissy about it. You just gotta put a bunch of butter on there, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, like you don't scrape it out of the butter and spread it on. You just dig a chunk out and pop it on. Right? That's how you do it.
Like if you're making this bagel for yourself and people are watching you do it, they should feel uncomfortable with how much butter you're putting on your bagel. That's how that scenario plays out.
If you bite into the bagel and you can't feel your arteries hardening around your heart, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely true. Imperfect Link says there's everything seasoning, so you can make any bagel and everything bagel. That's true. I actually have some of the everything bagel seasoning, and I use that on like a lot of stuff.
Ooh, very nice.
Like probably way more stuff that I should. King Tasma, hello to you as well. One Creative Mind, hello, thanks for joining us. He says he likes everything bagel, dry. Wow, nothing on it. Toasted even, or not. I think that's like sort of a regional thing, because I feel like out here in like the West Coast and like Washington, the Pacific Northwest area, everyone kind of eats their bagels like toasted, like with stuff on it. Like that's just normal. But like back east, where I'm kind of from, Pennsylvania, like New York area, where bagels are arguably a lot more popular. A lot of people just eat their bagels straight up, plain. Like there's nothing on it, you don't toast it or anything. You just eat the bagel because it's such a different product, depending where you are, at least in the U.S. Like bagels, and I gotta be honest, like bagels out here kind of suck in comparison. Like on the East Coast, bagels are amazing. It's like an entirely different product. Out here, it's like it's a lot different. So I can kind of see, like, depending on where you are, might affect how you intake your bagels.
That makes sense. Pub Goku, thank you very much for the 17-month streak of subs. He says, sending love. Hope you're both well. I'm good, thank you, man. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, always happy to receive love. I'm doing pretty well today, actually. I'm excited for the show. I think it's going to be pretty fun. Last week's was actually really fun. It was a lot more fun than I was expecting. And we had a lot of chat interaction with it as well, which was awesome. And we're hoping for the same thing today. So I guess we could probably officially start here since we're...
Just before we do, Mr. Petrov, thank you very much for the tier 2 subscription for 30 months. He says, I'm late, but which one is Jay? The one in the red shirt is Jay. The one in the red shirt.
Yeah, because you know Jay is always saying things like, there is no end game. This is one of my favorite shirts, actually. I've had this for a while now. Yeah, thank you. I think Petrov subscribed a couple days ago on my last stream. How is he subscribing again? I'm so confused.
He did it at the end of the month and he just hadn't clicked the button, and then it's rolled over into the next one now, and he's just done it again.
Wow, what an interesting timing. That was only like 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah, interesting. Okay, Keep Noob, hello, glad to have you. Creative Mind does toast it, so he likes it dry but toasted. Okay, so there you go.
Dry but toasted.
Keep Noob, we're talking bagels? Yes, for one more second, we're talking bagels. Yes, it is a great shirt. I completely agree. Taking a little bit of a chill pill today. Well, that's kind of... I mean, these days, that's kind of how I want to present the stream anyways, right? We kind of want to be your chill pill because life is kind of crazy for a lot of people right now, and I think everyone needs an hour or 2 or 3 to just kind of chill out and not think about other stuff. And I'm going to get you guys thinking today. Trust me. So it's going to be pretty fun. Jay's going to be thinking as well, and I'm really going to put him on the spot, and I think I have some really interesting... scenarios for him as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the intro, and we're gonna get started here. I tried to swap over back before you finished saying that, so they would hear the rest of that. I don't know if I made it though. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Top Clack. I'm Quakeums, that's Jay, and we have some sort of pseudo keyboard things to talk about today. If you were here last week, you might have caught a very interesting kind of interview style of episode where Jay was posing some rather obscure questions to me, and I would have to answer them, and we kind of got chat involved too, got their opinions. It's sort of
obscure.
There's some pretty out there stuff. Mine are probably more out there. I will say that. But you had a lot of great questions for me last week. A lot of things that you wouldn't normally hear in a basic Q&A or interview style of show. So this is going to be kind of a continuation of that, where the roles are flipped, and now I am going to be asking some interesting questions of Jay. I have kept 2 that he used because I think they're kind of, even though they're maybe a little bit more generic, I think they're really good questions that kind of give you a deeper look into someone's person, as it were. But I also have a handful of very interesting what-if scenarios that I definitely want to... Yeah, and I encourage chat, we encourage chat to all join in on this as well. You guys can answer, because that's honestly what makes it the most fun, is when you guys kind of get involved with these scenarios as well. And these are going to certainly be some pretty long, deep questions. A couple of them are a little bit more silly and playful. A couple of them are a little bit more serious and thought-provoking. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be getting to in just a moment. But before we do that, Jay, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm not doing so badly at all. Interesting news. As of the 14th, 2 days ago, I'm officially a retired man. I no longer have a job. I no longer have a salary. I am officially out of a job. So yeah,
wow.
There we go. I'm officially retired.
You use the word retired, but is there a difference between retired and unemployed? Because retired means you have no plan of actually working more, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm not unemployed. I'm not searching for a job actively.
Okay.
When I left my job, I had to fill out a load of kind of like legal documents here in the UK, and that basically sorts you out into like you're unemployed, but you need to go to the job centre and find a job. You're unemployed, but you're okay looking your own. You're retired, and the answers came out that officially as I'm no longer looking for work, and I'm not going to be seeking paid employment, and I have no plans to seek paid employment. I am officially retired.
Wow! Congrats! Round of applause in chat for Jay finally being a retired man. It'll be interesting to see kind of where you go from here. Obviously, you run Prototypist, so you'll probably be spending a lot of time on that, and it'll be cool to see how much that can grow and change, and all the cool things you'll be doing. Because I know you've been talking about some cool things you want to get started as well for Prototypist, and it's awesome that you're gonna have the time for it now.
Spread my wings and do my own stuff now. That's the thing. And yeah, not just keyboard related. I kind of want to expand and do some other bits and pieces as well outside of keyboards, and do all sorts of bits and pieces. But now I should, in theory, have more time available to do things.
That's always what you think, right? And then, but then all the work takes over.
Like my last day, I got home and because I had to go into the office to like sign forms and stuff like that, and do a few other bits and have a couple of meetings. And I got home and my wife gave me a list in a notebook of stuff around the house that she now thinks I have the time to do. Which of course I don't, because I run a business full time, but I just don't get paid for that. That's an unpaid. So technically, this is what went down on my legal documents. Technically, I'm a retired, unpaid volunteer at a keyboard company. So there you go. That is my official employment status.
Wow, that's wow. Mr. Petrov says, "Haha, pwned."
I know, the wife. I got home and she's like, we were just eating dinner and talking, and we opened a bottle of wine, and I had like 2 glasses, and she's like, and maybe we should look at you doing this around the house and that around the house. I'm like, well, we should write a list, and then she gets a notebook out and there's a list.
You made the mistake of saying we should make a list. Complete misstep. Shout out to Sour. Thank you so much for the tier 1 7 months. Just puts a heart. I love it. Thank you so much. Hearts to all of you guys, honestly. All right, so Jesse says, I think the official title is self-employed. Well, he doesn't pay himself for Prototypist at the moment.
I'm not employed.
So,
I don't have a salary. I don't have any income whatsoever. No payments made to me whatsoever from anywhere. So I'm not employed.
There you go. All right, guys. So let's get started for today. And like I was just talking about, I'm going to be posing some questions to Jay and you guys in chat. It's going to be kind of a simultaneous deal, so feel free to join in as much or as little as you want. There will be many things to talk about, but the idea here again is kind of get maybe a deeper understanding of the person behind the screen.
Very nice.
Thank you so much, Charlie, for the Prime there. Appreciate that.
Charlie, thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect use of Prime. Love that. Good stuff.
Yeah,
right.
There is literally nothing better you can do with your Prime subscription.
Nothing. This channel and this channel only. Nobody else ever matters, right? All right. Jokes aside, though. So last week you posed a myriad of questions of me, and they were all fantastic. And I was really surprised how you came up with them on the spot, because mine took way more time, because I'm just much slower than you, I think, Jay. But I will say
that's not true.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We roll with the jokes and we move right along. But anyways, I have kind of repurposed a couple of your questions just because I thought they were pretty good.
Okay.
But after those, it'll start getting a little bit more wacky with my own spin on it. And like I mentioned, a couple of them are going to be a little bit more serious. A couple of them are going to be a little bit more playful. But you started me out last week with a question that I really didn't see coming, and I was pretty blindsided by it. And it's a surprisingly deep question for how vague it is. But Jay, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Oh, I knew you were going to start with this one. I knew you were going to start with that. I can't remember what you said either. I forgot.
My answer was dumb, looking back on it now, because I think this question entails a much deeper, like, brainstorming that I got. Because I was thinking too shallow. I was thinking too on the surface. But I think for a lot of people, this is a much deeper question. And guys in chat too, obviously feel free to answer. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Could be something. My answer, if you guys might remember, was canned coffee. So I've kind of like an obsession lately with canned coffee. I look forward to drinking it pretty much every morning.
Nothing. I remember now. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with yeah. It was cold brew as well, wasn't it? Cold brew coffee as well.
Yeah, like cold brew. Like ideally, cold brew nitroed coffee in the can is like kind of my obsession right now. But if I had some more time to think about that one, I probably would have tried to think of something a little bit more deeper, a little bit more meaningful. Because I think a lot of what was going on last week was I've been trying to kind of find my purpose. Both in keyboards and in life and what have you. And I think that this question is a really good one because it really starts to get you thinking. So, Jay, chat, what gets you out of bed in the morning? I want to see some fun answers.
I have two answers to this. I have the shallow answer, and then I have a little bit more of a meaningful answer, I think. So the shallow answer is the dog has to go outside before she pisses on me. If I do not get up in the morning and let the dog out, she will wee on my bed. That is a thing that she does if I sleep in too late. So the practical shallow answer to this is that I get up in the morning because my dog needs to be outside and needs a walk. And that's the first thing I do every morning before I have a shower, before I brush my teeth. I get up, I walk the dog, I come home, I have a shower, brush my teeth, and then I'm ready to do my day. So that's the shallow thing. That's the kind of like surface level thing. But what motivates me, I think, is the deeper meaning I had behind the question when I asked it. And I think the real answer to that is constantly finding new things to learn about and trying to engage myself in new challenges and new problems and new opportunities. I think that's it. So the more opportunities I have to learn, the better I feel about where I'm headed in life. So people know that for the past 18 months or so, I used to love my day job. When I first started, I used to rave about how much I loved my day job. And over the last 18 months or so, that kind of dwindled off because there was no new opportunities. Part of it was COVID related. Part of it was just the landscape of what I did for a day job, and part of it was just me getting a little bit long in the tooth at it, and I'd done it for 16 years, the same company for 16 years. So part of it was that as well. And the big thing that's driven me this year is getting to the point where I don't have a day job, where I am unemployed, where I have no job and I can just focus on whatever I want to focus on. So whether that be prototypists, or whether that be the classic cars I collect, or whether it be learning new skills or doing new things. And if anyone follows my Insta stories, you'll see that quite often I'll just tackle a new project just because I can and I have the opportunity to do it, just to try and keep my brain sharp, to try and do new things, and to try and learn as much as I can and round out existing skills, pick up new skills. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, totally. That's a pretty good explanation too. Let's see what a couple people in chat said. Sean said, "This is hard, but right now it's my girlfriend. Being able to talk to her is what gets me up." Cool. Yeah, it could be something super simple or complicated. There's no like wrong answers to this kind of question, right? Mart says, "Shame gets me out of bed in the morning." Interesting. Shame usually keeps me in bed.
Yeah, when I was at the worst part of my depression, probably around this time last year, my wife did shame me out of bed one morning. Like, she wasn't at work, she'd lost her job, and I was just working from home, but I wasn't actually doing anything much. I wasn't getting up until late, or I was logging onto a laptop laid in bed, and the wife was looking after the dog, and she shamed me into getting out of bed and to getting a shower because she wouldn't come near me because I just had really bad BO. And I'd done, yeah. So yeah. I fully get that.
Ooh,
I fully get that.
Very nice.
Yeah, totally. Let's see what else. Nerdy says, "Holy beards, you both look like mountain men." Are holy beards what get you up in the morning? That could be interesting. But yeah, no, Jay and I are.
My beard doesn't have any holes in it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not like. Petrov actually has a pretty good one here. He says, "The search for unknown pleasure." I think that's actually a really good one, because that's kind of just like almost like a raw like human instinct, right? Like we want good experiences, we want to be happy, we want things that make us feel good, whether they're like familiar or new. So I think that's a really good answer. Mm-hmm. Karcha is asking, what does nitroed coffee even mean? It's when you infuse nitrous oxide into the coffee. It makes it a lot foamier. It's a lot. It's texturally different than like a standard cup of coffee, and it makes it a lot more interesting to me. What
you can read between the lines there, Karcha, is that Brian is a hipster.
I I'm fairly hipster, and I don't really deny it. And I understand that, you know, that comes with some bad parts too. Depleted Vespeed says the constant search for knowledge is a great thing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, like we learned last week when Jay asked a great question to me of if money were no object, what would I do? You know, all I can really think about is just learning and experiencing things, right? Like, if you're not bound by something you have to do, if you don't have these responsibilities, like, you know, literally all of your time is free and you can choose to do whatever you want. So I think, yeah, that would probably be pretty comparable for a lot of people here too. New knowledge, new experiences, the thirst for it. Charlie also agree with Jay on learning new things. Petrov says, I like to look for little ways to achieve goals, both pre-existing and new goals. Yeah, so all about working towards something, you know, right? Working towards something.
I think that's really, really important, because what I didn't touch on is the fact that when I'm trying to learn these new skills, they always have some sort of practical application in my life. That tends to be where they come from. Like, I need to fulfill a function, and I'm going to learn how to do that in a new way by creating something new, making something new, or doing something different, or whatever. There's always a reason for why I'm doing it, and it's never just random. So yeah, but I think the key to that is having a really good sense of what you want to achieve and where you want to be, and being really clear on that with yourself, rather than just having that might be cool to look at. It's like, no, like, actually, what are we trying to achieve here, and being really clear.
Yeah, absolutely. James Miller, thank you so much for the prime there for 2 months. Appreciate that, my friend. Petrov also follows up and says, some days it's professional, some days it's exploring a new food cart or a new game or trying something new with the kids. So yeah, just always looking for that new experience, something that you know, differs from the previous day, I guess, right?
I wish we had food carts over here like you guys do in America. I wish that was a thing in the UK.
Yeah, no, food. It's interesting because, like, food carts, food trucks, like, they usually have some of the best food. Like, it's almost guaranteed that a food cart is going to be good, like, most of the time. So if you ever get the chance, a lot of times they'll do, like, food truck conventions, basically, where it'll just be, like, one big event where, like, tons of food trucks will participate. Those are always amazing to go through, like, no matter where you are in the country. Definitely recommend. El Trotro is saying, every day is a chance to find another way to fail. Failure is good. It's how we learn. Definitely, yeah. No, failure is good. It's how we react to failure that is really important, right? It's not failing itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, but how we interpret it.
It's never a bad thing. But failing is hardly ever a bad thing. I will completely agree. The only thing I would tweak to that, to what El Trotro says, is to fail fast. Because the faster you fail, the more iterations you can have of whatever you're doing, and the more iterations you have, the faster you learn, and the closer you'll get to success. And it's not just about getting to that level of success, it's also about learning new things to get you to the next level, or to remember for the next thing that you do as well.
Petrov posing a really interesting question here on a similar topic. He says, Brian and Jay, are you guys more driven by fear of failure or a desire to succeed? And he says he's more driven by fear of failure. He also states that it's not a trick question, which he often tries to get us with. So so real question here. Are we driven more by fear of failure or desire to succeed? I think if I'm being honest, I think I'm with Petrov on this. I think the fear of failure overwhelms my desire to succeed. And even though in my mind it makes sense that failure is an experience and you learn from it, I mean, I feel like no one really seeks out failure, like, inherently, right?
I don't know. Okay, so my take on this is that it's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I think it really depends on the objective I'm trying to target as to whether I'm driven by the success or driven by the failure. The objective itself will set where my parameters lie in terms of whether I need to be successful, and it's me that wants to be successful, or whether it's something where I'm terrified to fail at. So for a long time, I was terrified to not have income and be able to provide for my family and everything else. So that was driven by fear of failure. Like, I have to succeed, I have to do well. But then when it comes to individual projects, I think that they're more driven by the desire to succeed. So Prototypist as an entity is an example of that. I'm driven by the want and the will to succeed. If Prototypist didn't work and it hadn't worked and it had failed, I wouldn't have been driven by that fear of failure in there. That wasn't an issue. It was my drive was there to succeed. So I think it really, really depends on what I'm trying to do and how open I am to the risks that are inherent in that particular objective. So one of the other things I often do for the big things, not for little things, but for like the big projects in my life, I will draw out pros and cons lists and I'll list out all of the risks and all of the opportunities I have on both sides, and I'll weigh them up. And I think it depends on what the outcome of that is in my head as to whether I'm driven by either the desire to succeed or the fear of failure. I think it really, really is interesting question, but I think it'd be very different depending on the project or objective we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Not that this isn't great talking conversation, but we're starting to get a little off the path here, and we still have some very interesting questions coming up, both for Jay and yourself. Chat, obviously speaking to you, yourself equals chat.
Yourself equals chat. Nice.
Yeah. No, I was posting that to chat. Yeah. Yeah,
just before we go, I just want to touch on what Sean says here. He says, how do you guys deal with failure? How can you pick yourself back up? So there's a couple of things. Expect failure. That's the first thing you have to do, Sean, is you can't go through life and expect to succeed at everything. You have to expect failure. And I don't mean that you have to be pessimistic and you should be less optimistic. I mean, you should expect that at some point you're going to try stuff out and it's not going to work. But you can plan for that and you can say, well, I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'm going to have this as my backup option. So you can have plan A, plan B, plan C, and you can fall back on different options. But the key to picking yourself back up is to look back on what failed and say, if I did that again, what would I do to make sure it didn't fail in the way that it failed last time? And then you try it again, and it might fail again, but it might fail at a completely different point in the process or task or whatever it is you're trying to do. And at that point, then you've got a little bit further, and you've understood why you failed the previous time. You've applied a fix, you've learned something, you've improved yourself, you've improved your understanding, and you've moved on to the next point. So trying to pick yourself back up about it is more of a mindset before you even start. It's about making sure that you know that failure is an option, but you are willing to still forge ahead and try and find solutions to the problems that you come back with, and have some really frank face time with yourself. Just look at yourself in the mirror and say, why did that fail? And be really honest with yourself. Don't try and pull the wool over your own eyes or anything else like that. Be really honest with yourself, and then just apply a fix for it. Work out what the root cause was, and then try and come up with an idea to solve it.
Yeah, very well said. Shout out to Octagon for that tier 1 18 months. Appreciate that. Moving on to this kind of next question here. This is the second and last question I kind of duplicated from you, but I thought this was a really good one too, because it kind of reflects on who you might be as a person.
Okay, interesting.
Your keyboard hero, Jay. Who is your keyboard hero and why?
My keyboard hero. Who is my keyboard hero and why? Man, who did you say again? I can't remember what your answers was. I've just got a terrible memory.
No, it's fine. I had kind of two answers here for different reasons. One of them was Living Speed Bump, who obviously just goes by Andy now, because he was more or less kind of like a mentor to me as I came into the hobby. And then my kind of curveball answer was Alex Odos, because he kind of interprets the hobby in a way that I wish I could better. And there are other reasons as well, but that's the primary one.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. I think okay. Following in your vein, I'm going to have a serious one and a little bit more of a curveball one as well. I think I'm going to go with that. If I had to pick, my serious one would be Ryan Neubauer. The man to me is a living legend, and the professionalism that he takes to every single activity that he does is incredible. I admire him, and to me he is the epitome of what professionalism looks like in this hobby. Like, everything he does has a touch of class to it, and it really it more than inspires me. It kind of gives me it gives me a different range on what to expect and how to set my own expectations within the community. I know I could never be Nobuo, and I would never try to be or emulate him. But he inspires me in a million ways every week. Every time I see something new for him, or every time I think of a new product or idea or otherwise, my first instinct is often, what would Ryan do? How would he approach it? What would he do? So I think he's probably one of my biggest keyboard heroes.
Nice, yeah. I mean, that's a fantastic one. Having been around Ryan quite a bit, I know exactly what you mean. The guy is just the guy is just absolutely top tier in everything that he does, and as a person in general. And I think that's about as good of an answer as anyone's ever going to give.
And he's genuine with it as well. That's the thing. Like I've met him once in my life. I met him when I came over to Seattle in 2019, and he came to me and he started talking to me. I didn't even know he knew who I was, which was the first shock to me. And I think we spoke together with him for a little bit, Brian, and stuff like that. And then a couple of days later, just as I was on my flight home, he sent me a thank you note to thank me for my time, and that was just like, it blew me away. It kind of just gave me a shock, and it blew me away, the fact that he would thank me for my time when I was, so enthralled to be able to speak to him for 20 minutes, half an hour.
It's just the kind of man he is. All right, and in chat, what do you guys think? Who are your keyboard heroes or idols, and why? You also
Mr.
said
he's a legit high class professional, not just talk and no trousers. 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you said you had kind of a more genuine answer and a more curveball answer. Now I'm kind of curious what your other answer is here, Jay.
My curveball answer is Cryosran, just because of his YouTube videos and his voice. I love his voice. I love his YouTube videos. Sadly, I've never met him in real life. We missed each other at a meetup once in the UK, but his love of things vintage is one of the things that inspires me. A lot of people don't know this, but I have a really extensive vintage collection of keyboards, and I don't really show them on stream very much, and I don't really use them much, but I have a huge collection of vintage stuff, and the vintage stuff always inspires new things that I'm working on. So, all of the projects and everything else that I've worked on tends to have some sort of inspiration in the whole vintage scene. Pen rails, for example, it all comes back to the 70s, 80s, and maybe even earlier with computing stuff for me. And his YouTube videos taught me more than I ever thought I needed to know about keyboards. So he would be my curveball answer.
Cool. Yeah, totally. That's pretty good. I mean, all right, let's see what chat is coming up with as well. King Tasma says Gion doing amazing stuff for fair prices. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
My Gion F1 has still not left my desk since I built it in January.
Yeah.
This is the first time a keyboard's ever spent this long on my desk.
Sean says my keyboard hero is Mr. Petrov and me. Like me as in Brian. Thank you so much, man. If you're being serious, you could be trolling me, I guess, which would be fine as well. But I'll take any, if I'm on the same tier as Mr. Petrov for anything, I'll take it. Arcana says Jay is mine, so you're Arcana's hero. Very nice.
Oh, thank you, Arcana. Thank you.
Small Chungus says 2 moons for getting me into the hobby. Nice. Just Bagel says Jay for making more stuff available in the UK. You're a hero to a lot of people.
That
Nice.
doesn't make me a hero. That's the simple stuff.
Hey man, hero is a fluctuating term. It really depends on the person, right? Mr.
Sure.
Petrov says
Sure.
I'd put AIO3 up there with Ryan in terms of both professionalism and giving back to the community in many ways. Also, super high class guy. Yeah, AIO3, great man, absolute legend in the community now.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
Yeah. Let's see. Mr. Petrov says, I also think Black Simon contributes a lot to the community, even if it's behind memes and contrarian style. Yeah, I mean, the community kind of likes that style as well, some of them, so understandably so. Cool, awesome. So that's kind of my wrap up for the more simple questions, I guess, as it were. And now we're going to be moving into some kind of hypothetical what-if scenarios. And
Man,
I'm super interested to not only hear your answers, Jay, but to hear what chat comes up with as well, because this is going to be some interesting stuff. So I'm just going to come right out with the first one here. If you had to put together, Jay, an Avengers of keyboards, who would it be, and what keyboard-related powers would they have? And I need a minimum of 3 people aside from yourself.
Okay, so this is people, right? This is people.
Yes, people in the community. Who is your keyboard Avengers, and what would their keyboard powers be?
Oh man, I need time to think about this.
You can have time to think about this. And none of these questions are going to be auto answers, I don't think, for anyone. These are all going to be, you're going to need a few minutes to think about these, and that's totally fine.
Okay, so keyboard Avengers. So we're talking about a ragtag team of superheroes who need to come together to save the day, but get through personal differences, and somehow it just all works right at the very end, right? That's what we're talking about here. Okay.
You can look at it that way. Yeah, sure. And if you want, you can even take it a step further and give them their own superhero names, if you'd like.
Okay.
That's not required, but I do need powers and who it would be. 3 people minimum.
Okay. All right. Okay. 3 people minimum. So the first one is going to be AKB James, and he's going to be Cadman, which is a really derogatory name given how much support and love and care and attention he shows me. But his superpower would be the ability to design any functioning piece of equipment that I might need. That would be his superpower. I don't know if James is watching, but he is. Yeah, he's amazing, and I owe him more than he will ever know. But he has an unbelievable canny idea to be a canny mind that can take my ideas that are in my head and sometimes drawn on paper and in pencil or pen and model that in 3D. Sometimes it's just a list of bullet points that I send him, and he's just such on my wavelength that what he comes out with is like 95% of what I had in my head as a vision. And I'll just send him like 5 or 6 bullet points, and I'll say, we need something that does this, and maybe it should have this feature and that feature. And usually what he comes back with is really close to what my vision was. So James would be number 1 up there in my team of Avengers.
Nice. So we have AKB James, aka Cadman, who can design anything technically for you. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. He's my guru.
Let's hear from Chad as well while Jay's thinking about this, because this does take some time, and I'm not trying to put Jay completely on the spot here while he's trying to think. But let's see some answers from Chad. Who are going to be your keyboard Avengers? And Jay obviously needs a minimum of 3, but you guys can just give me 1 if you want. Who in the hobby is going to be an Avenger, and what is their name and power going to be? I'm curious to see what chat comes up with here, because they're usually a lot more creative than us. Chuck Des says Iron Clack. I don't. Who is Iron Clack? We need some more details here.
Yeah, Chuck, give us some more details on Iron Clack. Who else would I pick? I mean, there's so many people that I work with and do things with, and okay. So the second person I'm gonna pick is Salvin.
Salvin.
I need a good name for him, but his ability to take stuff and make it makeable is, and I know that sounds like a really weird sentence, but sometimes you have ideas and you come up with products that you just can't physically make, and his way of being able to take an idea and just look at it at a glance and say, oh yeah, that's not going to work, but I can see what you were going for, and you might want to consider this so we can actually physically produce it. I think that I would have to pick Sal for that, and the fact that he gets to play with really cool equipment all day, which I'm insanely jealous of. I think, what's a good name for him? The Tinkerer, maybe? He tinkers with stuff a lot.
Mr. Petrov says Brr Man.
Brr Man, yeah, maybe. No, I think maybe, yeah.
Okay, so we have Salvin, who maybe is unnamed at the moment.
I like the name the Tinkerer because he tinkers with stuff all the time. He's always tinkering with things. Every time you see him in his Instagram stories, he's always tinkering with something. Today it was 3D printers, and then it was his UMC, and maybe something like the Tinkerer.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be the first 2.
Okay. So we have James, who is kind of like your superhero designer. You have Salvin, who's kind of like your superhuman producer.
Yeah.
Who's your at least one more superhero, your Avenger of keyboards?
I need one more superhero as an Avenger. Okay, okay. So we've got someone who can design. We've got someone who can produce. Now we need someone who can use. That sounds really, really bad.
That sounds terrible. That sounds awful. But that's okay. It's okay.
Change all EU people so it would have to be called the ISO men, not the X-Men. Oh my god. Mr. Petrov. Mr. Petrov, please.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Okay.
I'm so bad.
I think the third person I would pick is Gondolindrim.
Ooh, okay.
The reason why I would pick Gondo is because I'm not sure if he's watching or not, he probably isn't, but the reason I would pick Gondo is because he just has he's effervescent as a person. He's so bubbly. He's so much fun to be around. He's so much fun to chat with. He has great ideas all the time. He has wacky, insane ideas all of the time. And he's a god when it comes to electrical stuff, like his component design and layout stuff. Like he just gets it. He just knows it. Like, you know, like just like Yankar does or anyone else. But I think if I was going to pick one, I'm trying not to make it all EU. So I'm trying to make it more international for Mr. Petrov. So I think I would pick Gondolindrim. But I don't know a name for him. I don't know a name. I feel like there must be a superhero name around electricity that we can, or
oh man,
components or something that we can do.
All right, chat, help us out with Gondolindrim's hero name. So
maybe we just call him Gondo Man.
You could just call him Gondo. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Gondo is already kind of like that's already a fairly heroic sounding name, I would say.
Yeah, Gondo.
Okay, so what's the summary of his powers again?
So the summary of his powers is that he has the ability to interact with anything electrical.
Okay. This is quite an interesting team you've put together so far. And also for bonus points, what would your power on the team be, Jay?
Oh, my power is easy. I'd just ruin everything. I'd be the ruiner. I'd just destroy everything. I'd be the villain in this scenario. I'd be the villain. I'd be the guy that just destroyed everything that anyone touched and created. I'd be the ruiner.
I like it. It kind of reminds you. Have you ever seen Mystery Men?
I have. Yes.
Phenomenal movie, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. I feel like this scenario would be pretty fun to play, like in that kind of aspect too, because like it's a group of heroes that aren't like necessarily like heroes or powered.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Score man, Jay the Hulk. After the J.
Yeah, I don't smash. I just ruin stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Jay the Ruiner. I like it. You kind of have to keep the team balanced because the other three are so talented, right?
Yeah. James the Cadman can produce and can design anything we need, any tool or item we need. He can design it. Salvan is the Tinkerer. He can manufacture and tinker with things and get anything working and make anything that we need from James's design. And then we've got Gondo, who is the electrical god.
Electrical god. Would he be like a god of electricity the same way Thor is kind of like, you know, the god of
like
whatever.
Yeah, he's the god of electricity. Yeah, that's what Gondo actually stands for in Brazilian. It actually stands for god of electricity.
I like it.
No, don't Google that, please. Please don't Google that, because I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's move on to another question here that's probably also going to take a little bit of thought. This one's a little bit more serious. So you know, strap yourselves in for this one. All right, so if you could go back in time to the beginning of the keyboard hobby and pioneer it anew, what would be at least 2 things you would do differently? In this scenario, you retain all of your knowledge and experience. This is like kind of like a Back to the Future scenario. You're going back to, we'll say, I don't know, 2007, 2008, when like the custom keyboard community as we know it sort of started to form. You're one of the pioneers of this scenario. What are the things that you would do or change or do differently that you know of?
Okay, so I go back in time with the knowledge that I have right now. Everything that I have in keyboard knowledge right now, I go back in time to when do you say 2014-ish, somewhere around there?
We'll say like 2008. We'll say like
2008, right, okay.
like really early keyboard custom community days.
So we're talking DK Saver, we're talking early Korean
Yeah.
customs, we're talking OTD.
OTD
Okay.
is coming out next year. They're gonna start popping off with all their crazy designs, and there's gonna be like KMAC and stuff like that too. Very very early. You're gonna be one of the pillars of this hobby. You're gonna be one of the foundations of this community, and your opinion is really really big. You can shape a lot of things in this scenario. What are things you would do? Or you could even cop out and say nothing. You wouldn't change anything, but I think that's a lot less interesting content. So what are some things you would do or change? Chat, this is for you as well, obviously.
Okay, the first thing I would do is I would go speak to a keycap manufacturer, and I would make sure that they were willing to serve this community, because I'm very disappointed that they don't anymore. For those of you who haven't guessed, this is Devlin. This is a UK firm who makes some of the best keycaps ever available. And after a series of group buys, they did 2 or 3, they got really frustrated with the community and decided no. So I would, if I could go back in time, knowing the knowledge I have now, I would bring them on side. I would get them on side, I would get them ready to go, or I'd make sure I had access to their equipment or whatever, and I would make sure that those keycaps were still present in the community in the day that we are today. I would make sure that that happened. The second thing that I would do is
remember,
man,
you can do anything to shape this community. This is a big deal. The community would be totally different by now as we know it if you so wished in this scenario.
Okay.
You can go as big or as small as you want.
I would create something that would become Geek Hack, but it wouldn't be Geek Hack. I would make something that's a little bit better than the forum software that Geek Hack uses, and I would have like a central repository of everything, and that would include not just group buys and interest checks and some of the old discussion threads, but options and places where people could find manufacturers and upload plate files and share information in a better way, because I still don't think we have that today. I think that Keep tried and did a great job for a little while. Everything is now dispersed into Discord servers and everything else, so I would come up with some way of having a repository of information that could be maintained by the community for the community, and take it right back to that point, right when everything is being learned for the first time. That, you know I've got all of this knowledge and I could give it a really good healthy start, but right when we're learning all of this stuff for the first time, how to design the keyboards, how to manufacture them, how to put different mount styles together, how to make plate files, how to design everything, I create some sort of repository that is Geek Hack and all of the Korean forums and everything else all rolled into one, but that has the opportunity for people to almost use it as a wiki and a repository for saving files and data, and just make it much more open and easy to share information.
Okay, yeah. So you would basically it would almost be like giving the community a big jump start in a way. Having all this knowledge that's easily accessible and located in a singular area where everyone can go and use it as they wish. So okay, it gives the community a really big boost. And what was the first thing you said?
I can't remember what was the first thing I said.
I forgot it already. Sheesh.
So have I. I've forgotten already what I would do.
It's okay.
No, how can I have forgotten what I said?
Because that's just how live shows go. Chat will remember. What was the first thing you said, Chat?
What was the first thing I said I'd do?
Someone help us out.
Oh my god.
The keycap thing.
Devlin. Rescue Devlin as a manufacturer.
You would rescue...
Yeah, rescue Devlin as a manufacturer. There you go. Rescue Devlin as a manufacturer and come up with a proper repository that could start to ascertain all of keyboard knowledge in one place.
Yeah. Okay. So your first choice may be a little small. Obviously, it would affect something that is kind of near and dear to your heart, but still, in the sense of the community, it's a pretty small change in the grand scheme of things. The repository, obviously, that's a much bigger deal. That gives the community a much bigger start on the knowledge they gain and how they should go about doing things. So that would obviously get the community to kind of where we are now sooner, if that was your goal. Is there nothing that you would change to affect the outcome of how the community is now? Because that's I know I'm kind of like toying with rules a little bit here, but when I was writing this question, this is the outcome I was hoping for, at least. Obviously, you don't need to answer it, but the outcome I was hoping for, at least, would be something some big change that would affect the way the community is like right now.
I think that having that repository earlier on, I think it would. I think the community right now would be where we actually will be in 3 or 4 years' time. I think we would have got to that point already by now. We would be way further ahead than what we are. So I think it probably does that. I mean, there is an evil answer. If I was an evil person, I can tell you exactly what I would do. There is an evil answer to this.
An evil? Oh, can we?
Yeah, there's an evil answer.
Is it stream appropriate?
Yeah, it's stream appropriate. The evil answer, if I was a bad person, is that I would be the only keycap designer ever, because I'd be the only one that would be able to come up with new ideas, because I would just write them all down and show renders of every single idea that anyone's ever had up to now that I can remember. So all 400 GMK sets or whatever's run, I'd just write them all down and make sure that they were mine. You know, I'm joking. I would never do that, but that's the evil answer, right?
That's a much more interesting answer to me because that would have an enormous change on the way our community is now, and I think that's while obviously being evil and whatever, but it'd be interesting. Sean, don't even joke about death like that. That's not cool. Okay, yeah, so let's see what chat was coming up with here. So New Type says, restrict the use of the word Thok to only describe Topra. That's how it used to be, man. That's how it used to be. Thok was only affiliated with Topra. And now everyone...
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, now people use it for everything. Imperfect Link says, Discord is a pretty good hub now.
Yeah, in some way, Discord is great for chatting. It's not so great for storing historical information.
Yeah, I don't know. That might have actually been a troll comment. I'm not sure, because Discord's kind of a terrible... Like, Discord's a terrible community hub. Terrible. It's really good for little factions or, like, niches or, like, little, like, fragments of the hobby to be, like, able to be together. And, like, that's cool. There's definitely merit in that. But, like, as one singular hub, I feel like Discord is not a particularly good place to bring people together, if that makes sense. Sean also says, invent gasket mount so more people would have to innovate. You might have forgotten, gasket mount was invented around this time. OTD was doing it back in 2009. So this is, it's only been more of a resurgence in the last several years, but it's certainly not brand new. Although I will say, obviously, we have several takes on it now. A lot of them are different compared to the, I guess, more classic at this point, O-ring gasket mount.
There were boards in 2009, 2010 that had gasket mount, and then as the kind of Korean community stopped producing stuff and OTD kind of ran out of steam and things, it kind of went silent with gasket mount until 2017-ish, when what is now Keycult did the #1, and what was the other board that was at the time? The GSKT. Yeah, the GSKT 00. That was the other board. And at the same time, they kind of brought gasket mounting back through various different means. #1 kind of was using... the original one only had gaskets above the plate into the top case. It didn't have it beneath the plate. And then the GSKT had O-ring gaskets around the plate and PCB assembly.
Yeah. Well, the idea of the GSKT was to replicate what the OTD 356 Mini did, which was that kind of band gasket around the PCB plate assembly, which is honestly a pretty successful implementation. It was kind of ahead of its time, almost. Either that or we're kind of behind the times now, I suppose.
I think we're still learning what people behind OTD learned 10 years ago. I think we're still in that point in the Western communities where we're still learning everything that the Korean community had already learned 10 years ago when this hobby started.
Yeah, definitely. Arcana says, burn any keyboard that is larger than 40%. All right, fair enough. Imagine a world. That's we joke, but like that's a genuine answer, because like imagine if the community now were just 40% keyboards and no one really used anything more.
Well, It's interesting because there is kind of like there's kind of like multiple different segments of the community around the world that have kind of recently linked up, and I say recently, it's like over the last 5 years. But the Japanese community and the Western community in keyboards almost kind of developed independently. And in the Western community, we have all of these big CNC'd aluminium cases and everything else, and we went in that direction. In the Japanese community, they went heavily into split keyboards and tiny keyboards and curved keyboards, and you name it, they've got it over there. Like all sorts of different things that were really inexpensive, really cheap and easy to produce and make, based mainly on PCBs and standoffs and everything else, but thousands of designs. So it kind of is interesting how that developed. So yeah,
it kind of like, I don't mean this in like a bad way, but it kind of also shows like the culture behind these communities. Like you were mentioning, like the Japanese community, they're all about like efficiency, accessibility with their keyboards. It's all about function. You want something that you're going to be efficient on, something that's going to be comfortable, ergonomic, something that's going to be easy, something that's going to be cheap, but still very, very efficient. And then, in the Western communities, we're all about, how much metal can we put into this keyboard? How much can we make this weigh? Like, what kind of over-the-top designs can we implement here? It's always about bigger, better, that kind of thing. So it's very just different, like culturally, even like outside of keyboards. And it's interesting to see how those cultures can affect the keyboard hobby, from start to finish, even. Petrov says, I would buy all the Bitcoin. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
not really
that's the other thing, isn't it? Just buy all the Bitcoin, be a billionaire, and just let anyone do whatever they want in keyboards. Just have like a CNC factory and a keycap factory and just whatever, and make whatever people want. You could absolutely do that, whether for profit or for free. If you knew what you knew now and could go back and buy all the Bitcoin, you could absolutely do that, or just short GME until until you had all of the money in the world.
Yeah, just trying to go through some of the questions here, or some of the answers here, rather. New Type says, stop Teha from building Tfue a board. So obviously, for those of you that might not be, up on what that is, basically Teha Types built a keyboard for Tfue a while back. Tfue being one of the biggest streamers in the world, I guess. And obviously that using a keyboard that Teha Types built, obviously Teha Types is enormous in our community, huge, but in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of streamers, he's like not quite as big as a lot of the other people out there. So him doing that brought so many people into our community from Tfue's community, from that gaming streamer community, into the hobby. So that had a big effect on our community. Honestly, that it had an enormous effect because it brought in a bunch of people that didn't necessarily know or care about keyboards, but they're coming in from outside, and it's kind of sometimes coming in more of a meme kind of way, and that really changed the landscape of the community. Obviously we can joke about it, but it's
bad
true.
Thing though. Was that ever something we want to undo as a community? Because I think it was a great thing. I think it's fantastic that we expanded the community so quickly.
I think it's a neutral thing, personally. I don't think it's inherently good or bad. It's just a thing that happened, and how people choose to react to it and how we choose to move forward, I think is what's more important. Obviously it had a huge effect on the community. It brought a lot of people in. You could argue that's really good, and I certainly wouldn't argue against that. But just like we talked about in the last episode, I think it's really important the way people come into the community, because that really can kind of shape the experience they have, as well as the way that they interact with each other, both within their niche and within the community at large. So it's not inherently bad, it's not inherently good, I would say, but that's just kind of my take on it. I think you could totally argue that it's just a fantastic thing, and we should just keep doing that.
I just think any exposure the community gets to expand its user base and to expand its knowledge is inherently a good thing.
Sure.
There'll be some negatives in there, but overall,
I think it really depends on how many of these people are actually curious, about the actual hobby, and are wanting to actually learn, having the desire to learn. Because obviously that's way better than a handful of people coming in here just to beam or cause problems, right? Having a genuine desire to be in the hobby and learn is a way different scenario than someone that's just coming in to make death threats to a vendor or something.
Yes, which sadly happen too often these days.
It does happen a lot now, and a lot of those people are people that have come in from outside of the community, and they've come in through an outlet that isn't like an educational outlet, I'll say. From within the hobby, they'll come in from somewhere else, and they don't care about anyone. They don't know about our hobby, and they're just gonna they're just gonna mess around, and like I don't see that as a good thing. So that's why to me it's like it really depends on the people versus just the scenario happening. All right, still kind of catching up in chat here. Brian coming in with the real point. Maybe. Sometimes I make okay points. Sometimes I just rant and
you always
ramble
make best points. Always.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Trey Pop says Western keyboard people just want Chad keyboards. I totally agree. It's true too. Like everyone just wants these like Chad premium end all be all, like trendy keyboards. That's just kind of like how we are in the Western community. Whereas like in the Japanese community, they're like, how can I make this keyboard more efficient for myself and others?
Sure. Yeah.
Buying all the Bitcoin. Yes, that's not really keyboard related though. Karcha says, I am a poser typing on a JO2 LE regarding this discussion. Hey, there's nothing
you
wrong
are
with
a
that.
poser. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. New Type says, I think in the long run, it's an okay for the community. Just caused a lot of rapid growth that the community wasn't able to scale with. Yeah, and that's another good point as well. We're still trying to scale with it, and it
was going to happen anyway.
But it was
we'd already got to the point where we couldn't scale with the size of the hobby, so this is just forcing people to act faster than they would have done. And by people, I mean the manufacturers, the producers, the vendors, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think that overall it means tight times now and difficult times now, but it will be a net benefit in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, Trey Pop also says Twitch has grown the hobby so much in the last year. I don't think it would have grown so much without it. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And a lot of that again is Teha Types. He has that reach, he has that influence, he has that viewer base that expands way beyond just the keyboard community because he reaches so many other outlets just because of who he is. So that's certainly a good thing. And I think a lot of people do come into the community through an outlet like that, or sometimes they read some kind of article on like The Verge. I know like The Verge and other kind of bigger publications have run articles on our hobby or someone or something within this hobby, and that kind of brings a lot of people in as well. It can all certainly be good. Dean Supreme says exposure and expansion is great, but can it cause an ET gaming scenario / crash?
Maybe. I'd be surprised if it did. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We still have two more of these kind of bigger questions left to go, and I'll let you choose the next one. Jay, do you want a more kind of casual comedic scenario, or do you want a more serious scenario? You're gonna have them both, but which one do you want first?
All right. I feel like we've done a couple of serious ones, so let's have a comedic one.
All right. Here we go. This again expands to chat. Let me hear your answers, guys. If you were to develop a keyboard-themed video game, what would it look like? An example being of Typing of the Dead. If you've ever played something like Typing of the Dead, there's an example for you guys.
Mm-hmm. A keyboard-themed video game.
Yeah. Okay. What would your keyboard-themed video game look like? What would you have to do in this video game? What would it be? Chat, again, I want to hear what you guys think. Shout out to Shat Depat for the tier 1 sub, 6 months. Appreciate that. Big thumbs up.
Ninja Pirate 9901 says, losing at Raffle Simulator 2020. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sure. I mean, it can be as silly or as serious of a game as you want. Just, describe the concept to me.
Yeah, guys in chat, I'm gonna need some inspiration here. I'm struggling on this one. I love video games, but I'm not sure how to relate them back to keyboards.
Yeah, that's kind of why I tried to give it an example of like Typing of the Dead, which is like a really kind of interesting take on a video game, honestly.
I don't want to do that though. I don't want to take that kind of gameplay design as an idea. I want to kind of come up with something different.
Sean
Okay.
DePalsy says, like Overcooked, but you have to do typing tests instead of cooking tasks. Interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not
I'm
a bad one.
thinking more like a Dance Revolution type thing, but
Yeah.
with a fully featured keyboard. So it has to be full size. I'm not talking 40s or 60s. Or you could play hard mode on a 40 perhaps and have to have like 7 layers to do it. But I'm thinking like not just typing. I'm thinking way beyond that. I'm thinking you have to do things like cut and paste moves and copy different moves and different letters move different parts of your arm. You remember QWOP, where you used to have to press QWOP to try and get the sprinter to run? I'm
Oh.
thinking something like that, but with more involved keys and more characters. You have to use the whole function of the keyboard to in some sort of like Dance Revolution type game. So as you press keys on the keyboard and use function keys and like control and copy or shift for the capital letters, it will do things at different tempos and paces. So for example, putting your arm up in the air like a Saturday Night Fever type thing might be pressing A, but if you want to do it fast, you have to do caps lock A and or shift A, and you do it. So A would be like that, and then shift A would be like that. So you get more action in there, and depending on what sort of music you go for, I'm thinking something like that.
Okay, so to kind of sum up, it's like a keyboard-themed rhythm game, basically, where you basically control a character through the things that you have to type and do on your keyboard, and your character
Yeah.
dances. Is that what's happening?
And what? Sorry.
Your character, the character dances. Is that what you're going for here?
Yeah, I'm feeling like it's a Dance Revolution type thing.
Okay.
Like it's like the old things. Imagine the games you used to have at the arcades where you just have the dance mats and you used to have
Yeah.
to dance on the mats and stuff like that. I'm thinking that, but you stand there with a keyboard in front of you, but only there's not just like 10 controls. There's like 100 controls, and even doing things like pressing print screen insert will do different things, or it
Okay.
will control different elements of the environment. And you might have to do the lighting and the stage direction all at the same time as control your characters. So you need to press multiple keys together. You need to have so you might be controlling your character with your left hand around the QWERTY area, and then with the right hand you kind of around the TKL features or the numpad, trying to control the lighting and the stage choreography and all of that kind of stuff. I think it's something a little bit more like that.
I'm totally fine with that answer. That's a pretty good layout. Cool. Let's see what some people in chat came up with. Depleted Vespine says spot the keycap. Arcana says the game would just be out of stock all the time, which I think is probably the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Trey Pop also says a Guitar Hero clone for keyboards. Okay, so similar, kind of another rhythm game sort of thing here. Petrov says a game where you design keyboards, but the game stimulates the game stimulates sound and feel somehow too. So like a feedback thing.
Okay, so Mr. Petrov, you need to check out Glass's video. So what he did is he created, it wasn't a game, but he created like a different soundboard that replicated what I think it was Teihei Type's Holy Panda Fiel sounded like, depending on different key presses. So no matter what keyboard he used, sounded like the Holy Panda Fiel board, because as he pressed a key, his PC played the sound of that key being pressed on the Holy Panda Fiel board. So you could do something like that and expand that. That's a good idea. I like that.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, really interesting. Let's see. Karcha says, "Are we talking DJ Shrapnel in a Keeb stream, or Sharpnel, not Shrapnel? I don't know who this is. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. Do you want to know my my other answer to this? My other answer to a keyboard related game?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you guys remember like Theme Park and Theme Hospital games?
I do not. I don't think.
You don't remember Theme Hospital, where you used to have to like build your hospital and move people around, or Theme Park, where you built a theme park and you had to buy different stands and different rides? You don't remember that?
I just must not have never gone to that genre.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Theme Park was a game in the late 90s on the PS1 where you built a theme park and you were given certain elements, and by getting people to come into the park and they rated it on excitement and everything else, you could buy more elements like bigger stands, bigger rides, you could put loops in roller coasters, all sorts of other things. But you could build stuff that was a death trap as well. Or alternative, there was also a theme hospital where you could build a hospital and you had to design waiting rooms and you had to build on doctor's surgeries and all sorts of other things and try and make the business work. Well, I'm thinking more around of a theme GMK. So instead of it being a theme park or themed hospital, you have theme GMK where you have to manage GMK's production timeline.
That's amazing. This is a way better answer. I like this.
So you manage GMK's production timeline. You've got to weigh the volume of sets that are coming in terms of new group buys based on how many units they sold, on production times, and do they need color matching or not. And you turn that whole thing into a game. You gamify GMK's production line.
Interesting. I like it. Curious Yellow says you need some sort of story element. Gamify your experience in the keyboard community. That could be interesting as well. He follows up by saying, submit first IC on Geekhack, rather. Just get gate kept.
Yeah, Mr. Gatekeeper, yeah. Sean DePaulsey says, is Roller Coaster Tycoon the same as Theme Park? Yes, Roller Coaster Tycoon is another one of those games that's very same. Or very similar, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Managing GMK's production line has to be the best thing to ever be said about a potential video game ever.
Gamifying a GMK's production line, yeah.
Yeah. Depleted Vespine says a trivia level 2. The IC for GMKX was released on what date? Quote unquote. Yeah, so like maybe like a trivia game. Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, it feels a little basic, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of like keyboard trivia in general. Like when we went on for that keyboard Jeopardy.
No, don't even talk about that, Brian.
Look, I know it didn't go the way that you were hoping, but you have to admit it was a really fun time and it was a really cool concept.
I got very drunk on that stream. Very drunk.
Yeah, I was not sober at all for that, but it was.
I could tell, Brian. I knew you weren't sober. Yeah,
but you know what? You know what, Jay? I had fun.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm
never gonna live it down, am I? Mozo9 says mechanical keyboard hobby simulator. You spend the whole time waiting for group buys whilst entering more group buys. Fantastic.
You earn income in the game through doing various jobs like being in an office and filing paperwork and stuff that enable you to buy more group buys, and then you wait for group buys to come in. That would be amazing. I'd play that game.
It's like The Sims, but it's just the keyboard hobby and what you have to do to stay in the keyboard hobby. El Trotro says, war games typing game. Stop world domination with keyboard question and answer. Okay, so kind of like another sort of trivia thing. Almost like a hangman style, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Let's see. I think some sort of GTA clone is the way to do it. Some sort of Grand Theft Auto clone. Oh man, how could you...
Grand Theft keyboard. Can you imagine if you had to run around like a world and this world was, oh, I've got this, I know how to do this. Okay, so have you guys seen on Instagram, Crash Draws is making a huge poster with all sorts of different elements of the keyboard hobby. You could make that the kind of world that this is set in, and you as the protagonist have to go around stealing things from different people who are in the poster, and turn it into like a whole like keyboard related stuff, like into a whole GTA thing. So if you guys haven't seen, there are some images of this on Crash's Instagram. So this particular one is Alex Otis. This particular part is in fact, sorry, it's not. It might be Switch Key Steph. Actually, I might be wrong. But basically, he's got a few different parts to it, and it's like one big huge post that kind of incorporates loads of different designers, makers, and a few other people into it as well. This one is Rama's workshop with Rama and Kate, and what they're doing at Rama Works. Oh, he had some more on here. I wonder if he's deleted them.
This is really cool.
Dixie's on there. I'm on there. Dixie's dogs are on there. There's also, I think he must have deleted the rest of the pictures that he had on this, or perhaps they were in his stories. But yeah, he's doing this whole thing. So he's already created and designed the world. We have that world that exists that has all of the different vendors and different areas and stuff like that. And what we could do from there is we could maybe tweak and change that into a GTA type layout, an old top-down GTA style view or semi 3D view, and the aim of the game is to try and go around and collect as many of these different secret hidden bits of keyboard paraphernalia, like Alex Sotos's desk mats, or you've got to go and find the Rama keycap somewhere, or the Rama switch puller, and you have to come into the prototypist workshop and find a set of GMK bleached, or go to my keyboard and find the stickers of Yulia licking a keyboard, and all just different things like that. You could have it like a whole.
That's
sorry. I'm going nuts now. I'm kind of my creative juices are flowing now. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I mean that's when the best content is produced. I think is when you kind of start to lose control of yourself and your passion takes over. I think that's always a good sign. And looking at this art now, this is the first time I've seen this. This is actually really incredible, super awesome work. And to be able to like form a concept around that, I think would be just like a whole nother level of awesome for the community. And I think that's something pretty awesome.
So it's called Cubetown. If you guys don't know this, you need to go follow Crash Draws on Instagram. Follow the links I've shared, or follow him, because he's amazingly talented. He does loads and loads of different artisan designs and drawings and cartoons. And this that he's done, it's called the Cubetown Project, and it's basically one big giant map on a poster that shows off all these different kind of people who have influence or power or relevance, or they brought something to the community. So it's people like Rama, it's people like Alex Sotos, it's people like My Keyboard, it's people like Dixie, Jiba, Omnitype, and all of that kind of stuff, all kind of rolled into one giant smorgasbord of kind of like an overlay of a town, and being able to see into their workshops and all of the things like that. It's just incredibly impressive, and he keeps dropping little teasers of different elements in different areas, but no one really knows how the whole thing pieces together yet, and I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait until I can buy the whole thing and frame it and put it up on the wall. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Karcha is asking, is there a point where you, Brian and Jay, get bored of all this? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, what do you mean, Karcha? What do you mean?
Yeah, you can feel free to expand on that a little bit, because it seems like an interesting question, but I don't think I quite understand it. In the meantime, I just thought of how interesting would it be to have like a keyboard community themed Mortal Kombat game, where it's like it's like a pretty basic fighting game, but you have characters that are from the keyboard community, and like their weapons would be keyboards, and they could do like special combos and moves, and they'll have like, I don't know if you've ever played Mortal Kombat, Jay, but they'll have like fatalities and stuff like that as well.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that.
Finishing moves.
I have played a lot of Mortal Kombat in my time. Yes.
Yeah, that could be kind of interesting. Or I guess that could be really good. Street Fighter or whatever kind of take you want to play on it. But that could be kind of fun. Just theme everyone around keyboard people.
Zui says Easter egg: find Brian's Space Cadet Q key. The feels.
I've looked for that so many times and for so much time, and I genuinely have no idea what happened to it. It had to have gotten lost at the Airbnb, although I have no idea how. So yeah, I never took the set out of my bag. It was in a Ziploc bag in my like carrying bag that I took with me to the Airbnb for that meetup, and it never left my bag. But somehow the key is just missing. So I don't really know what happened. But yeah, definitely a mystery, unfortunately. That could be pretty cool. Curious Yellow says, here are the stages of the keyboard hobby. 1, think you should invest in your keyboard. 2, buy a pre-built. It's great. 3, see RMK. 4, inadequacy felt. 5, let's build a custom. I soldered in a lab once. How hard can it be? In and out, 15 minutes. 6, buy a custom if it ships in 6 months. 7, find GB with keyset that will complete your keyboard. It ships in 18 months. 8, find metgroupbuys.com. Lose many hours of your life. 9, Your original group buy and key sets are delayed indefinitely. 10 question life. Okay, that sounds like a pretty standard keyboard hobby enthusiast.
Yep, that
Thanks.
sounds like a pretty standardized story.
Yep. Karcha says, yes, and I think this is his elaboration. The keyboards in general. Are you more interested in the community, or are the keyboards actually so interesting that they blow you away every month? So, are we here for the community or for keyboards these days? And I guess, I'll be totally honest, I'm here for the community. I don't get me wrong, I still care about keyboards. I obviously have tons of them. I still enjoy using them and building them and talking about them at times, but the keyboards have become a lot less interesting to me over the last couple years, and I care a lot more about the community, like, as a whole, and like the friends and the kind of family that I've made along the way, because that's something that, you know, I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Like, even if I stop buying keyboards, I stop building keyboards, I sell off, you know, most of my collection or whatever, like, if that ever happens, like, I'll still be friends and like with so many people in the hobby, and like they'll still be like a family to me, and like I'll still like be there. Like, I'll never be able to like actually leave like the community. I could quit keyboards, but I would never actually leave the community. So yeah, I but it's also kind of on a, you know, a situational basis where if there's a keyboard or, you know, a product that's super duper interesting and really relevant to me and something I really think is cool, then obviously, like, you know, it's something I still like, and I'm not sick of it per se. But yeah, at large, the community, I think, is way more important than keyboards. And if I were only here for keyboards, I would have been gone years ago.
That's fair. I think that's completely and utterly fair. Yeah. I think in terms of myself, I love the community and I do enjoy keyboards, but the biggest thing that I like is the fact that there is opportunities to learn new things always, whether that's around designing or, you know, and CAD and KiCad and all of those kind of software stuff, and learning about electronics and stuff, or learning about how to run a small business, or learning how to produce new products, or learning how to market them. There is always something new for me to learn. There's 1,001 things, and that's what I like most about the hobby. It's the fact that it gives me something that I can focus my attentions on, because when I get into a rabbit hole, I always go deep. That's just my personality. Like, if I fall for something, I fall in head first and I go all in. And I've done that with keyboards. I have, you know, a stupid number in my personal collection. I'm still buying more all the time, and it's kind of silly when you think about it from a kind of like macro level. But the reason I'm like that is because if I wasn't, it'd be something else, and it might be something that's even more dangerous to my financial well-being, or maybe even my health, because I have that kind of addictive personality. But it gives me the option to learn, it gives me the option to do new things. You know, I've learned about 3D printing, machining, CAD, product design, package design, you know, you name it, and I've done 1,001 things that I've never done before, all because this hobby has given me the opportunity to do so. So I don't think ever I will stop being interested in the actual hobby itself or keyboards themselves, because I find them great tools. But it's the opportunities it's given me to invest my intellect in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Great question. Great answer too. Okay, so we have one more question for you here. And of course, as usual, this extends to chat as well, because I'm kind of curious. And again, this is a hypothetical scenario.
Just give me 1 second. I think someone's just come into my workshop. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. So while we wait for Jay to get back, hopefully it's someone intended to be coming into the workshop, and we don't have some kind of crazy scenario. But how are you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day, as I am, at the very least. That went kind of deep, but I appreciate the answer, says Karcha. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we tend to be like pretty transparent and honest with this kind of stuff. Nice. It's just the reality of it, right? Sometimes the community is like more interesting, and sometimes it's less interesting. You know, the products and specifically, because obviously the people are here as well. Jay may be dead. I hope not. Sturek, thank you so much for the Prime. Appreciate that, man. Streaking Bison asking what I'm typing on today. I'm actually typing on what I kind of assembled in my last stream just a few days ago, which was the GMMK Pro. As you can kind of see here, Gloria sent me one of these to check out, and I've been kind of putting it through its paces, as it were. I did an unboxing and kind of initial impression stream the other day, and I just kind of plan on using it for a week or two to kind of finalize my opinions on it, so when people ask me about it, I can have a more definitive opinion. It looks like Jay got a package. That's interesting.
Apologies, I am back.
All good.
I'm back.
Hopefully it was a good thing and not something bad.
It was an Amazon delivery at 10:26 p.m.
Wow. Well, all right. There you go. All right, don't worry, guys. Jay's not dead, as obviously everyone in chat might have thought.
No, I'm not dead. I'm not being raided. It's not anything like that. It's not anything untoward. It's just the Amazon man. He's leaving now. I'm watching his car go out of the
That's
thing.
such a late delivery. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, anyways, just catching up with a few people in chat. Sturek, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime once again. He's also asking, I usually just listen to the podcast feed, but I rarely have time to tune in live. Thanks for the hours of entertainment. You're welcome. Thank you so much for
thanks, man.
Thank you so much for consuming the content on any level, honestly. Very much appreciated. Podcast, I think I think I forgot to upload the last couple episodes, so I'm kind of behind on that, so I apologize. Life's crazy lately, but we try to get them out. You know, better late than never, I suppose. But thank you so much for listening to that. Yeah, everyone's worried about Jay. Don't worry, Jay's back. Jay's
fine. I'm back. I'm here. I'm all right. I'm not dead. I'm good. I'm fine.
Oh my gosh. All right, Chuck asking where we're from. So I'm in Washington. I'm in America.
That's Washington State, though, right? That's not Washington.
Yeah,
DC.
sorry, Washington State. Yeah, I guess people outside kind of can easily confuse the two. But yeah, Washington State, not Washington D.C. The hipster area, not the
Not the political arena.
Not the other one. Yeah.
But, and I'm from the UK, surprisingly enough, by my accent. I am from West Yorkshire in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Everyone's still talking about you being gone. Oh my gosh.
I'm here.
Must be a delivery of an adult themed keyboard. People are wondering what the package is.
It's just workshop related. It's nothing special. I know what it is. It's two fitments for the tap so that I can put the hose pipe on it, so I can wash the outside yard and wash the cars while I'm here at the workshop. That's all it is. Just an attachment or two different attachments that will allow me to fit the hose pipe to the tap in the kitchen. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah. Some more decent questions in the chat, but we're gonna kind of skip over those just for right now, and we can get back to those during the kind of Q&A final segment of the stream. But I do want to get one more question out here for both Jay and you guys before we kind of start to close the stream a little bit. So this is kind of a deep one, but obviously again hypothetical. Jay, if you knew that you were going to die in 1 week, what would you do in the hobby during that week? And what would you do to kind of solidify your legacy, be it big or small? How would your last week in the keyboard hobby go?
What would I do? The first thing I would do is I would refund every order I could afford to from the Prototypers web store, because clearly those orders are never going to get fulfilled. So I would do that. Or I'd give the business to someone. I'd find someone to hand the business over to, probably AKB James. That's probably where it would go. I would do something to rectify that. That would be my first step. The second step is I would probably just release all of the files that I own in terms of design and everything else to the community. I would just give those all away and let people have access to them. A lot of them are available on the site already. You can go and get render files for pretty much every board I've been involved in on the Prototypers website right now, but I'd release the actual build files and everything else. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I could do. I'd give all my collection away. I'd just
give it all
up to the just give it all away, because why not?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see the kind of the summary of what you would spend your last week doing in the community. Obviously, you would do things outside the community as well, but for the sake of it being a pseudo keyboard stream, We got to know what
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
do within the keyboard hobby. Petrov says charity auction for Jay's keyboard collection, raise
Yeah,
millions, if not billions.
no,
I don't know about
it
billions.
raises a little bit of money, but I'd probably do that and make sure that my wife had cash, right? Like she had money and didn't need to worry about it. My keyboard collection has a value to it, so I would try and make sure that she could get some of that value back, whilst making sure that loads of people in the community got stuff cheaper than they could do today on the aftermarket. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's so many things. Open source everything I can, give away and sell at cost everything I could. Make sure the business is kind of gonna be okay ongoing. Find a replacement for myself on Top Clack so you didn't have to do these shows on your own. I think that's probably what I'd do.
Okay. Yeah. What about you guys in chat? How would you spend your last week in the keyboard hobby? I'm kind of curious. Karcha says, meet everyone you haven't met yet, disregarding COVID. Yeah, disregarding COVID. This is a hypothetical scenario. You can kind of set it up how you want.
Sure.
As long as it's realistic.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'd do like a huge open day at the Prototypist warehouse, and whatever I could spend to help get people there, I'd have like a fund that would help people get there on short notice, pay for flights, pay for trains, whatever, so they could come and just hang out and see what the whole thing was about. And I'd give away like my Datsun truck or something as a prize to one random person there or something. I don't know, something like that.
Nice. Trotro says, build a coffin out of enters.
All right. You need a lot of enter keys to do that.
That's yeah. You
know. Do you know what I would do? Do you know what I would do? I would get as many keycaps in one place as possible, and I would swim through them like Scrooge McDuck does in DuckTales with the money.
Okay, good one.
I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. Somehow I would do that. Even if it was only a bathtub and I could lay in it, maybe we'd do something like that. It'd probably hurt, actually. It'd probably be really painful. That would probably be really, really painful to lay in keycaps. I can't imagine that would be easy to do.
Yeah, no, that might not be the most comfortable. I mean, because, it's not terribly different from, like Legos, for example. So, if you were to, swim in a bunch of, Legos, it probably wouldn't be the most comfortable, and I imagine keycaps would be...
even just digging your hands into a box of Legos to lift out a handful, that's quite painful. It's scratchy and horrible.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of many years ago when 27 decided to bathe in his first batch of Panda Switches, and there was a picture. There was a picture of him, mostly naked, in a bathtub full of Panda Switches. This was 2016, obviously, but it was, man, a lot of people don't remember that. That was quite an interesting time.
I don't remember that. I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's probably for the best. Don't worry about it. Curious Yellow says, so sell business, instantly, massively destabilize r/mech market. That's true. If you sold your collection on mech market, that would be pretty insane. Not saying
couple hundred key sets, couple hundred keyboards. I don't know. I don't even have real numbers. One of the cool things that's happening in the next couple of weeks is now that COVID is a little bit better, a friend of mine called Tinkerton is going to exchange some of his time for some of my tools. So he's going to work for me for a day, and he's going to organize my personal collection, my keycaps, my keyboards, document everything I have, document which parts they come with, whether they've got extra PCBs, put them all in a nice order, put them in nice tagged boxes. He's going to spend a day doing that, and in return he gets to play with all of my toys and things in the shop, in the workshop, like laser cutters and 3D printers and everything else. So then the next day he gets to come back and do whatever he wants on those machines for the day. But I don't think that my collection is that big that it would destabilize mech market. That just wouldn't happen.
I mean, it would certainly change the way things went on mech market for a little bit. I think your collection is that extreme, Jay.
No, I don't think it is.
Curious Yellow
says, do you have specialist insurance for keyboards? So this is interesting. When I had all of my keyboard collection at home, I used to have I still have a house insurance policy for all of my contents and everything else. And certain collections you can declare on there when they become worth a certain value. Like it might be stamps, for example, where you can get incredibly expensive stamps or watches or whatever, or jewelry and other items. My keyboards were on that insurance policy because it's a significant sum. It's not like this is, a couple of £1,000. There's a lot of keyboards and a lot of money invested there, so it was insured on that. Now that it's all moved to the warehouse, it all comes under the contents of the warehouse insurance, because my personal collection is here and in the warehouse. It's kind of spread throughout there. But of course, the warehouse and the business also has insurance for stock and for hardware and for utilities and tools and everything else I have here. So it kind of comes under that policy now. But yeah, it is all insured. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, with that said, I think we should kind of move over and talk about our sponsors for just a moment before we finish up with a Q&A like we usually do. So, guys, if you have questions for us, whether they be keyboard related or not, let us know. Use the @TopClack tag. It helps us pick out the questions a lot from the chat. You can get those in right now before we head out. And in the meantime, we'll take a brief moment to just talk about the wonderful people that are just flat out wonderful, because we like wonderful people.
Sure. Well, Brian just brings up that page. There was a few questions I saw earlier on. I think Captain James and Karch had them. If you guys repost your questions now, and we can answer them when we get to the Q&A in a second.
Yes, please feel free to re-ask any questions, and we will get to them presently. So first, we have the wonderful, the one and only Novel Keys, of course. Always there, always trustworthy, always reliable, always good people. We love them. And they have some awesome things going on, as usual. So they have the round 2 of GMK Metropolis. So if you missed out on the first round, or you just absolutely love the set, bam, there you go. Round 2 up still for you guys. Also, the Wilbatech Salvation, which ends towards the beginning of April. This is one I'm going to be getting in. It seems really interesting to me. Love this new mounting style. Seems pretty interesting, and the price is still relatively reasonable as well. So definitely hop in on that if you're looking for kind of a more innovative and new keyboard on the market. Definitely some cool things otherwise, though. If you're maybe into making some artisan keycaps, or you want to kind of get started in your learning process, I highly recommend the synth. This was designed mostly by Binge of Hungerworks Studio quite a while back, actually, but it's been through multiple revisions now. This one's manufactured by Salvin. We love to see that. Good stuff. And yeah, this is just a really awesome product that has helped a lot of artisan makers in the community kind of come into their own. So a lot of respect for that one. And finally, one thing that we do kind of want to point out is the Nono the Duck bundle pre-order, which is a really adorable kind of plush toy and desk mat bundle. Just look at that. It's so freaking adorable. This is designed by Soran, awesome member of the keyboard community. He's been around for a while. Really good dude. And the cool thing about this bundle is for every bundle ordered, $10 will be donated to the Children's Heart Foundation. So, bam, there you go. A third of the cost just going straight to that. We love that. We love to see that kind of stuff. And, you know, Novel Keys, big shout out to them for doing this. So definitely make sure to get one of these. As soon as the stream's over, I'm buying this, I swear. So,
just on this one as well, it's worldwide. So there's worldwide vendors involved with this. Blotsky in the EU. There's Daily Clack in Australia. All over the world, there are vendors doing this, and each vendor is donating to a charity in their country. So, for example, I'm involved with Prototypist. We're doing it to British Heart Foundation. Novel Keys, of course, they've got their whole thing and set up and everything else. So this is a huge worldwide event to give to loads of different charities. So wherever you are in the world, you can support it through your local vendors as well. So please, please, please do consider supporting it. It's going to some great causes.
Yeah, so check to see which one of your local vendors is doing this, and go ahead and support that, because I mean, come on, there are fewer better places to put your money if you're trying to spend it in the keyboard hobby than supporting good vendors and good charities and getting really cool products that are designed by really cool people. I mean, that's just like a 1, 2, 3, 4 combo. It's a win-win-win-win, and we love seeing that. Aside from that, if you're kind of in the market for anything else, be it some switches, stabilizers, springs, desk mats, things like that, he might have you covered here. Quite a few things going on. And if you're buying anything in stock, use the promo code ClickClack. That's one word, no spaces, all lowercase. That'll get you 5% off your in-stock order. So good stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving over to our second sponsor of the day, it is Kono.store. The guys over at Kono have got a few things going on. If SA is your jam and you like sets that might have a gradient to them, SA Espresso has just launched, and it might be something you'd be interested in. Even Brian is kind of enjoying this gradient set, and he doesn't like gradient sets. So
that actually, right before the stream, I saw this and I was like, I don't usually like gradient sets. I don't hate this. So that's about the best endorsement you could get from me on a gradient set. Is this isn't that bad.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of the set. I like it. It's got that whole kind of coffee vibe. I'm a big fan of it. So definitely consider that, guys. As well as that, if GMK is more your thing, they do have GMK Fox. Now, this also has donations to charity as well, supporting a lot of different Fox charities around the world with a small percentage of profits donated there. So definitely take a look at that. If kind of like cool summery colors are your kind of thing, greens and oranges and all of that kind of thing might be up your bag. So definitely check that out as well. Reminder as well that it is SA Magica's final day, so if you're interested in joining that key set, do join it today. I think it's closed on some vendors already, but it's still there on Kono, so definitely check that out if you're interested in picking it up before it's too late. Finally, if you're interested more in keyboards, the Kono do have the Titan 65 on their site at the moment. And I've got to be honest, for the money and the price, I'm kind of impressed and kind of tempted to get one of these myself. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's fairly interesting, that's for sure. Moving over to KBD fans, they have a few things going on as well, including the group buy for the D60 Lite X Enjoy PBT 6085, which I thought was pretty cool too. I think this is kind of like a nod to the old Xerox Daybreak keyboard too, so which is kind of cool. So this is kind of like the inexpensive version of the other D60 that they're running. This is the light version, starts at $119. Seems pretty interesting, and the pre-order is open now. You can get it with and without keycaps. A little bit more expensive with keycaps, as you might imagine, but seems like a potentially pretty interesting value, if I do say so myself. Moving over to some other group buys they have going right now, they have the KBD Fans PBT High Pro keycaps. This is for your Topper keyboards. Personally, it seems a little bit more MT3-esque than High Pro to me, but regardless, it does seem pretty interesting, all things considered. And I'm also a big fan of their new Coming Soon page, which has nice little countdowns going on, as well as some other information. So, bam, nice new Coming Soon page. We love to see that. And if you're just kind of in the market for other things, maybe you're coming to the hobby, you don't have a lot of money, this is a pretty good place to start because they have a ridiculously large stock of things, and if you're looking to build a very inexpensive custom keyboard, you can get outfitted here for a pretty small amount of money. A lot of entry-level and budget-friendly things, so very, very nice on the wallet, just checking out this place. So there you go. Give it a look.
For sure. And our final sponsor today, it is the wonderful Leandrin at Mechanisk.co. Now, the site is currently closed, so we can't show you anything other than the closed screen, but that's because he's just had a really successful pre-order for the Fial and the Clipper.
The biggest, yeah.
So, say again, sorry, Brian, I missed that.
His biggest run yet, he confirmed the other day. This is his most successful run.
From what I understand, it was pretty huge,
really
which,
big.
Given how wonderful Leandrin is, I'm super stoked for his success. So, guys, when the story's back online, do check it out. Do show Leandrin all of the support you can, because he is a gentleman and a scholar in this community. So, definitely worth shouting out Mechanisk as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving back over, we'll answer a few questions before we head out here. Before we choose to raid someone, gotta remember to raid someone too. Don't let me forget that, guys. Don't let me forget that. All right, so again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now before we head out, and we'll try to get to them. Sturek is saying and asking rather. I just listened to the show and tell, and I really enjoyed your reactions to the DIY boards. What is the most DIY keyboard project you guys have done? So he's referring to an episode that we did. This probably would have been a month or two ago, I think, where we kind of had the chat join us in a show and tell. That was a pretty fun episode, so glad you enjoyed that as well. Great question too. So, what's the most DIY keyboard project we have done? What about you, Jay? I think I know what yours is, but
I've done loads of DIY projects. I think probably the most DIY is probably going to be the Hyper 7, right? Because there's more switches on that than there are anything else. So it was kind of like a whole kind of thing working with designers for the first time to create a PCB and then soldering it. And it was the first time I'd ever had to do like a full soldering job, so soldering the MCU and everything else onto it. I'd done hand wires before, so I was kind of handy with that, but this is 213 different keys on this board. Then creating firmware for that and learning how to use QMK for the first time and writing all of the software for that and macros for all the different functions, replicating the whole Lisp architecture on there. That was kind of a big thing that I did with a friend of mine called Ewan, also known as BitShifter. Selling and producing the the keyboard itself, so the PCB and the plates. We designed cases with Noxeries on that. Designed a case for it. We never actually produced that because it was going to be too expensive at the time.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then there was loads of people in the community that built brass cases and all sorts of different things. There's some really really cool builds out there. And then more recently, the designs were all given over to Mechboards, and they've produced their own version of the Hyper 7, and they've sold that in group buy quite recently. And then that led to Cat Space Cadet also having Hyper 7 compatibility within the group buy, and I think One Creative Mind had a key set as well that ran with Hyper 7. Oh, my camera's just decided to turn off. How weird. Apologies, guys. I'll be back in a second. So I think that was my biggest one.
Just live stream problems. That's how it goes. All right, so the most DIY keyboard project I have done. I gotta be honest. I'm not the most creative person. I've never really designed much in the community, as far as like keyboards and key sets and stuff like that go. So I don't really have a very good answer for this. Nothing terribly interesting. I've hand-wired keyboards in the past. It's been a long time, but that's probably the most DIY I've ever really gotten with a keyboard, and I don't really want to do it again either, if I'm being honest, because hand wiring is kind of a nightmare. But yeah, I'm just not a very creative person when it comes to that kind of stuff. I prefer to kind of check out and review and kind of consume other people's creative passion projects. So I think that's more interesting, and I prefer to take a more journalistic approach to it versus actually being the one designing and creating these super cool things, because I think most people that are doing it are just way better at it than I probably will ever be. So I prefer to kind of just see and consume these things versus actually doing them myself. So yeah, I guess I've hand wired 1 or 2 boards in my past, many years ago. I mean, these days it's less of a thing because no one really does it anymore. There's almost a PCB for every single keyboard now, and we're kind of spoiled by it, actually, because that didn't used to be the case. If you wanted something kind of different or obscure or out there, like you had to hand wire it. There wasn't going to be a PCB for it. But nowadays, every single board comes with a PCB or has tons of options of PCBs that are compatible with it. So that's, we've gotten kind of spoiled that way. But yeah, that's definitely the most DIY I think I've gotten in the hobby. Great question, though.
It's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal. Okay, Captain James is asking, just wanted to know when you're planning on setting up that creative mill, Jay. Super excited to hear, super excited to see it, rather.
The Creality mill, yeah. So that came a few days ago. So I'm gonna do that on stream, but it's not going to be a top Clack stream. It's going to be a prototype stream. Brian and I had a chat about this the other week, and I'm going to do some kind of workshopy stuff on a different channel, so I won't talk about it too much here. But yeah, if you keep watching my Instagram stories, you'll see news on when that's going to happen. I don't have a date in mind as yet, but it's not going to be too far away because I absolutely want to get that up and running. For those of you who don't know, it's a 3D printer that's on a conveyor belt, so it prints onto a conveyor belt, which means that the conveyor belt keeps going and going and going, and theoretically it will push the print along as it prints, so I can do infinitely long 3D prints. I could print something that's 5 meters long if I wanted, and it kind of pushes it off the conveyor belt onto a rack, so you can... The big thing is I can do a Hyper 7 case on it now. I can 3D print a Hyper 7 case at some point. That's the cool thing. So yeah, it's going to be set up at some point. I don't know when, but it will be. The other cool thing it can do as well is it can do batch production. That's why they call it a mill. So because it's on a conveyor belt, like when I print off like freebies to throw in packages, like stem holders or switch openers or whatever else I print, I can actually print one off, and then it's going to move down the conveyor belt. Then it'll start printing the next one. It's going to move down the conveyor belt. And then when it gets to the end of the conveyor belt, I can just put a bucket underneath and catch all of the bits as they go over the end of the conveyor belt. And it will just keep producing stuff. It will just keep printing and printing and printing and printing, which is amazing. So I'm really looking forward to getting that working.
Nice. Angeos says, hello, Top Clack and chat. Hello to you as well. Thanks for joining us. We are towards the end, but hey, better late than never, right?
Yeah, he's got a package coming from me on Monday. I'm shipping him something on Monday.
Ooh, nice. Muzu Rides says, I have a Gingham arriving tomorrow. That'll be my most DIY keyboard when I've built it. Yeah, that's fairly DIY, right? I mean, it's a PCB, but you still have to install a lot of the componentry yourself. So, while it is all through hole, so it's a bit easier, thankfully, it's certainly a DIY project. Yeah, absolutely. Chuck Death is asking, what's your PT Twitch? I don't know what that means.
Oh, I think he means my prototype is Twitch.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Wow, I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I refer to prototype as PT all the time.
I didn't even put
it's
two
not.
together.
It's not one I'm going to promote on here. It's unfair to Top Clack as an entity. You can go to the website, find the Discord server, and from there you'll be able to find everything you need.
All right, there you go. He says I'm always late on Fridays. It's okay. We're never going to have a time slot that works for everyone, unfortunately. It's just kind of the way it is. But I feel like this time slot has been a little bit better because it's obviously a lot easier on Jay, and we do tend to get
significantly easier. We
do tend to get a little bit more of the EU and the UK audience in this kind of time zone versus a much more Western dominant time zone, which we were doing in the past, Thursdays at 6. So I think this actually works out better for everyone. I actually prefer doing this now that we've switched over. Like even I prefer doing it this way. So
it is significantly better for my sleep schedule. I'll be honest. I do not miss getting up at midnight to stream at 2 a.m.
The things I've put you through, Jay.
That.
The things I've put you through, I will never be able to make up for. Sturrick says EU represent. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. All right, so that's actually closing out for the questions. We don't have any more left, so I think now's probably a good time to pick someone to raid. Who are we gonna raid, Jay?
Let me have a look.
We were talking about Gondolidrum earlier. He's live right now. Maybe we can raid Gondo.
Yeah, let's raid Gondo. Let's definitely raid Gondolindrum. That's definitely who I want to raid.
Yeah, I'm looking through right here, and there's a couple people on, but I think Gondo has a pretty low viewer count, and he's doing something super cool. And I do want to take this moment to point out that he's been doing some of these streams where he kind of goes through like PCB design and a lot of like electrical stuff. He's super duper smart guy. These kind of streams I think are way more important to the community than a lot of people realize. And this like really helps a lot of people kind of wrap their heads around it. And these kind of streams don't get nearly enough love. Like normal build streams get way more viewership than anything that's like design oriented like this. And I do want people to kind of open their minds and check out streams like this because I think it's a really big deal. And while it is fun to, you know, watch your favorite keyboard streamer build a keyboard or whatever, you know, this kind of stuff is monumentally important to the growth of our hobby and to really helping people out. So, you know, give these kind of streams a chance. I like to watch them, even though a lot of the times I don't understand because I'm just not smart enough to wrap my head around electrical engineering. But, you know, definitely give these a check out because I think it's totally worth it, and I highly suggest it. So, yeah, we're gonna...
Gondo is a really nice guy as well, to boot. That's
Gondo is genuinely one of the best people in the community, and I stand by that. So, yeah, there you go. I started the raid, so get in on there, and when we get over there, let's say something super wholesome. With that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really happy that you know, all of you decided to come out and hang out with us today. I know it was kind of a strange stream like they have been lately, but you know, we have a lot of fun, and you know, we hope you have a good time as well. So any closing thoughts, Jay, before we go to this raid?
No, just to thank everyone for watching today. I'm going to try and stream on Sunday again this week, but I still need to rebuild this PC to be able to enable me to do a build stream. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a build stream going again soon. So thank you very much, guys, for watching today. Come check us out on Sunday if we do stream. If not, we'll be back this time next week. And be nice to Gondolindrum when we raid him in a minute.
Yeah. Also, speaking of upcoming streams, I'll probably be trying to go live on Monday. I have no idea exactly what I'll be doing yet. But I want to try to get in the habit of streaming a little bit more regularly. Even if it's something not like crazy important, maybe I'm just going to be lubing switches and hanging out with people or something. But I just want to do something. So, you know, if you want to come hang out and you're bored on Monday or something, definitely come hang out. You can join the Discord link below. That'll tell you when everything's happening. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let's go say some nice things to Gondo. All right,
see you guys.
Have a good one. Raiding now. I actually didn't even have time to I didn't have time to roll the outro because the raid was starting in like 6 seconds.